Welcome to Klamath County, home of Oregon, Sunshine City, Crater Lake, and the absolute best of talk radio, interviews, music, and comedy in the world. WFTP proudly presents the Queen of Talk Radio, Princess of the Silver Screen, Master of the Culinary Arts, award-winning author and filmmaker. It's the Jennifer Dawn Show.
Forbidden Tears Radio.
Hello.
Mike Marino. So, Mike, what's going
Yes.
on?
All right. Well, let me start with this. Going back to before COVID, when I worked on Passageway to Hell, remember?
Oh, yes.
So before that, right, only within that month, I had worked on two other films. Nation's Fire by my friend and one of my favorites to work with, Thomas J. Churchill, out in California. We shot in Burbank. We also shot in, what could I call it? Somewhere in the mountains. You know where they shot the Westerns with the fake jails and all that stuff? That's where we were, and there was no reception. They had to do everything, had to be battery operated while we were there. It was amazing to see. Just had to watch out for rattlesnakes. So, Nation's Fire by Thomas Churchill and my friend Krista Grotti. I played Captain Sharktooth. From there, I went to New Jersey to do a film called American Whisper, which is an excellent film, true story about a New Jersey family that was unfortunately murdered in the 50s, and they never found the killer. And the husband was the prime suspect until he got completely cleared. And to this day, they never found the killer.
Oh,
so
wow.
I played a detective in that. Yeah. I mean, this is a movie to see, let me tell you. I played a detective in that. Detective Archer was my role. And what an excellent film by Russ Emanuel and my old friend and colleague, Howard Nash.
Yes, I know both of them. And Russ is amazing.
Right.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was in Russ Emanuel's comic book, and I was the Raven from his film Occupants.
Occupants was really cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I was offered a part in Occupants, and since you saw the movie, remember when they ordered pizza?
Yeah.
I was going to be the pizza delivery guy, but I couldn't get out to LA to do the one scene, which would have been, what would it have been though? 10 minutes, to shoot it?
Yeah.
Probably to walk in and out, and that would have been it. So I couldn't get out there at the time anyway. From there, I believe I went to Arkansas. And my first memory is getting picked up at the airport and driven the hour and a half to Waldron and seeing these things on the side of the road that I was trying to figure out what they were. They looked like tiny little round pylons. I thought they were electrical from the ground.
Yeah.
So I asked the driver what they were, and he said, those are armadillos.
Yeah.
I said, well, I've never seen one before. We have squirrels where I live.
Well, you got to be careful out there, and same with Mississippi, because you'll hit a lot of armadillos. But having you come out, and I had a driver for everybody to pick up, take back, to and from the hotel.
I remember.
Yeah, it was so fun. And we were talking about photos for your show. I've got that one photo, too, of you looking through the jail, that old jail.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Yeah, and a couple others I might put in there, too, for your video for up on YouTube. But, you know...
Okay, you can put whatever you wanted.
You were so dedicated because there's this classic photo I love of you because you were sitting just on the side. Remember, I had the community center building I had bought?
Yes.
And you were sitting out there just reading your script all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was so amazing.
Over.
Yeah. That was a fun time. And Mario come out for that. He was co-director on that.
Yep. Mario Prado.
We were shooting like 2-3 different locations at a time for that film.
I remember. That was insane.
Yeah, but everybody
Crazy
liked my
stuff.
chef, She laid out some spreads for everybody. Nobody went hungry on that film, did they?
No, no, definitely not.
That's a lot of fun. You are a very good actor, and we had Tevis Markham, and he'd been
Thank you.
in Stallone's film.
Yes, Tevis.
Yeah, weren't you in that film too with Tevis as an extra, or that was just Tevis?
No, no, we met there. We met there in Arkansas. We were roommates.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah, we put you two together, but you guys were both going over your script all the time. It seems like,
Yeah, yep.
and
He's in a series on Hulu called Tale of Tales
ah,
about a strip club in Michigan, and they did only one season by this director named Harley Whalen, and it did very well on Hulu. They just didn't get the funding yet to do the second season, but between you, I, and the interview here, Tevis said to me, when we do another season, I'll probably have you in it, But unfortunately, that hasn't happened yet. That
well,
would be cool, though.
getting funding is not easy,
Oh, I know.
and
I've helped with it. I know.
I can't wait to, have you in this film. We're doing the trilogy, the Falcon feature franchise.
Right.
And don't say that
Very
fast
cool.
3 times. You just can't do it.
Oh, I will mess that up quickly and get thrown off the air.
Oh yeah,
So
I could see that happening too, because
right.
we never know how it's going to come out. But
Right. One other thing about Howard Nash, like I said, he was the producer on American Whisper, and him and I have a long history. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because my very first feature film that I had a speaking role in is a vampire movie called Sleepless Nights. Director and writer Bill Hopkins did that movie in the vein of Dark Shadows. He wanted to make it more of a little soap opera-ish, a little romantic, a little more of a storyline than just vampires. So I play a machete-wielding vampire in that, and the reason I bring it up, like I said, written and directed by Bill Hopkins, produced by Howard Nash. They gave me one of my first chances. They just put out a revamped edition of it, completely revamped. The picture looks amazing. And they changed a few things in it, so now you got to see it to find out.
oh
But it
wow,
was my first speaking role on camera.
oh wow, I have to see that too. Now,
Sleepless Nights is out there.
yeah, I can't wait till I can't disclose everything about your role in Falcon, but I know
Right.
you're anxious about that. And we
Yes.
do want to get a Zoom with you and Mario at some point whenever he
Yeah.
gets his schedule ready. But looking forward to having you in that and working with you again. Um, that's going to be amazingly fun. Um,
I am looking very forward to that. And again, with Nation's Fire, again, like I said, I played Captain Sharktooth, and Tom Churchill, another colleague I've worked with for so many years, and I've been in so many of his films more than anybody else. So he wrote this script probably about 15 years ago called Pushing the Limit, and he cast me in that as a character called Jingles, who was a hitman. But we never made the film. Now, we just had a conversation about 2 weeks ago where he said, I am redoing that film and you are going to play Jingles, the hitman. I said, oh, that's great. And that movie's going to be called From Chinatown to Chinatown.
oh, wow.
And then I have, of course, many friends out in Hollywood. And the rumor mill out there, he didn't tell me this and I didn't ask him, said the rumor out here is that, remember, Tom did that director's cut of Emerging Past, the movie I played the stranger in, which is one of my favorite movies that I've ever been in. There's a buzz around Hollywood saying he's doing a sequel to the director's cut, like directly to the director's cut, but a sequel. And I said, Tom didn't tell me that, but that's like a buzz going on in Hollywood right now. But the thing he did tell me is he's got like 3 other projects coming up very soon that he wants me to be in all of them.
Are you in New York or Philly?
Yeah, Long Island, New York.
Long Island,
Long Island.
cool. Yeah, and I think we're gonna shoot Falcon in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's right up your alley right there.
Not bad at all. And I have several friends that live there too, so maybe I'd have a place to stay if I need to.
Well, and I'm pretty sure the film's going to put you up and everything too. Um,
Oh, right.
we're getting some great financing and funding, and I'm
Okay.
not directing or producing that. That's Mario's gig. I've changed my lanes into storyline and character development, writer and author.
Uh,
I'm loving working for Stephen Gilbert Morris as a writer and everything, and so it's a lot more relaxed than being a producer and a director.
I'm sure. But
Yeah.
you started out writing, didn't you?
Well, I started out in family photography, then radio, and then I went into writing my own scripts. And I think we're going to have Robert Redfeather in the Falcon also. I don't know if you know him.
I do not, but I know the name.
Yeah, he's. I'm sure you should send him a friend request, but can't give too much
Okay.
away about it. But it is about America, and what it's how to get America back. And
Right, right.
a lot of people are scared to talk about it because they're afraid of cancel and everything else. But it does seem like we're leaning more towards socialism nowadays.
Yeah,
And
none of it looks good.
well, no, and you talked about the batteries. Okay, well, what's going to happen with these electric cars when they're not going to go very far? And how many
Yeah.
people you think you're going to see on the side of the highway all broke down because there's no charging station? So it,
Well,
it could be
also
interesting.
our government does not want to lose the fact of that cars need gasoline because they make billions.
Yeah, it takes fossil
Go ahead.
fuels to make electricity.
Yeah,
So
sure.
how are they going to get rid of all that? It's a weird situation, but the Falcon is it's written as a story, and I'm writing the book and doing the book series for it. So it is going to be 3 films, but it's kind of the good guys against the bad guys, and a whole storyline in there. I think you're going to really love it when you get the script. And I kind of know
I
what
can't
your
wait.
role. Yeah, I kind of know what your role is, but I can't say it. That's up to Mario. Now you've worked with Mario before, and you guys worked really good
Yep.
together. You know,
Yes, I enjoyed being around Mario a lot.
he's a great filmmaker and director also.
I
You,
was not home from Arkansas very long, but me and Mario would, instant message each other. And even all the way back then, he said to me, I can't wait to get you in front of a camera again. So it's finally going to happen.
yep, it is. Mario sticks to his word. That's for sure. And
Amen.
did you see
Amen.
the AI robot Oscar? The little snippet I put in there. I
Yes,
created that
yes, I
character.
did.
Yeah. So
Uh,
he's growing and evolving, but I'm trying to, because they got AI out now all the time coming out, and it's a lot of people are afraid of that because,
it's very scary.
well, what do you think about all that?
I have not dwelled into it, but here's what I could say. As a child of the 70s, there was a lot of movies like that were always sci-fi and everything always goes wrong. Just like Jurassic Park. I read the story about certain things they're cloning that they think they're going to bring back. First is that walking bird. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's a bird that walks. It doesn't fly. It's huge. And I'm like, didn't they watch Jurassic Park? It doesn't end well when you try to bring these things back. We have a creator. I call him God. And the other thing is, when you talk about AI and cloning and all this stuff, there's something supernatural about us human beings, and I believe nobody else has to. I do believe we all have a soul. And
Yes,
how are you putting a soul into a clone or an artificial intelligence or anything like that that's supposed to be human? If you don't have a soul, you're not human, as in people who are truly evil, people who do these horrible things, they don't have a soul. Okay? They were
exactly.
born with one, but they lost it somewhere. But I'm saying you can't create something human being without a soul. That's what scares me the most. This is God and
Exactly.
nature that to me is supposed to be running us. Not everybody has to agree with me. That's my opinion on it.
Well, so how are they going to become sentient if they can't really feel? Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I know the progress that they've made is amazing. If they could just put this into cancer research instead of that, and then find another way other than chemo. I know there's only a few other ways, but it's a long shot for everyone who has cancer. Everyone.
Exactly.
All these different things. They have some, I know so many cancer survivors. God bless them all, which is amazing. But it's nothing short of a miracle if you can beat it.
You know what scared me was do you remember when Biden first took office and he came out and he had that big red backdrop behind him with all those lights? I mean, to me that looked evil. It was scary. And it was kind of like a message, that, because first he said he wasn't going to take fracking, and then what's the first thing he did when the next day when he got in office? He put 40,000 people out of work and stopped stopped the pipeline and everything, just boom. But you know what's weird is he had told everybody, he's not going to stop fracking, but he had told everybody certain things he was going to do, and they didn't believe him, and then he did it. But our country is turning upside down the way we're going, so we want to bring it back. But I don't know, man. How come they can't look at Germany and World War II and all of that, like you said, Jurassic Park, and kind of learn from it?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. It seems like they want to make America the way Russia was years ago, where you're waiting online for a loaf of bread. It's like that's what they want to do to us, to control us.
It is. It's power and money on their end.
Yeah. Well, power, money, greed are all evil. And again, saying that about they want to make it like that, I'm not saying I'm right, but it's a concern and it's a thought,
Well, that's why I wanted this radio, too. It's not just about the Falcon. I want people to have a voice because they're taking our voices away.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And they're really knocking people for going against the current regime. I do call it a regime,
Oh, it is.
And it is getting very scary, but they can't learn from history, and they always say history inevitably will at some point repeat itself.
Yep, it always does.
Yeah, and you got kids, right? So, I mean, what about all this school thing? I mean, are you concerned about the way those are going?
I am concerned about it, but thank God my daughter's out of school. She's actually going to be 21 next month.
Oh, wow. I thought you had some little kids, too.
No, it's just one, who I adopted when she was 8 years old. I actually started dating my current wife when I met her daughter at 8 years old, and then officially adopted her when we got married. But honestly, she became my daughter almost instantly. There was no barrier and no saying, "Oh, you're not my new dad," or anything like that ever happened. Which
that is cool.
Awesome, and I'm lucky that she was such a loving child. There was never a question like, "What are you doing here? You're in my house. I have a father." Blah blah blah. There was never a question, which is awesome. You know what? She loves horror movies, and me and her scare each other all the time. She's hidden my closet and scared me at night.
I love watching your posts on Halloween. I mean, you guys go all out on Halloween.
We do. We had a great party this past year, and I always want to do something current that's recognizable. And if you remember the pictures, and I don't know if you saw the movie called The Black Phone with Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
Oh, what a movie. And that's who I played, was the grabber. That was his character. And all the kids freaked out when I walked out in that costume with holding the balloons.
So what do you think is one of the major concerns about America today?
First off, employment. I have been unemployed myself, not just from acting, but from my union, which I do belong to, not just the Screen Actors Guild, but also 638 Steamfitters of New York City. And politically, they've tried to cripple us, to tell you the truth, and silence us, which they will not. So many people are out of work, losing their homes and all that, and this is being done on purpose.
What does your union leader say about, I mean, what do they kind of tell you? Do they try to lift you up, or, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. We're a brother and sisterhood, and we're a family. Period. And we do everything in house. But when things like like when COVID hit, and they got slapped with a mandate of saying everyone must be vaccinated or they don't go to work, was horrible because now you're pushing something that not everybody wants or is willing to take a shot that hadn't been tested by the FDA or anybody else. They got to everybody with it. Let's face it, everyone they could. They got the police, the fire department, the hospitals, us, everything with a large number, and then everything with a small number after that.
Well,
That
and
was
you
their
know, and
goal.
where does it make sense to let nurses and
Yeah.
EMTs and defund police if they don't get a shot? Where does it make sense to take those people away when they are very valuable and very
Yeah.
beneficial? They save lives. They help people.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I don't know what has gone on in other states, but here in New York, all those people that worked in a hospital that refused to get the shot, they all staged protests in the parking lots of their hospitals, and they would never on the news. They blocked it. The
Yeah.
only the media that was out there were people shooting their own videos and posting it either on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or wherever else. I knew people who were out there personally fighting for their jobs. So anyone who didn't get the vaccination lost their job. Okay, the mandate gets lifted. These people were not offered their jobs back, and just now they came out and said anyone in New York that's a fireman, policeman, medical hospital worker that lost their job, 1 year from now, we will give you your job back. So they're talking next April.
Why?
Everybody's found a new job by then. Otherwise, where would they be? Or they've left the state. It's one or the other.
Why they gotta wait?
You
That
know,
doesn't
so
make any sense.
you know what they get. It doesn't. It makes zero sense. But that's what happened here in New York. Now, most people I know that worked in the medical industry all went to a private practice, got a better job, better hours, and more money. So they're not going back there, and thank God they did. And you know damn well that no one's even though okay, when COVID was real bad, what are you going to do? But after that, everybody looked for a job savagely, and you're going to find one eventually.
Yeah.
And that's what these people did. God bless them all. Everyone, all these people were on the front line before that mandate too,
Well,
putting
a
their
lot of
lives on
them.
the line in a hospital.
I was so
You know,
sad when
oh,
I saw the firemen turning in their gear.
you know,
I saw that video. They were walking in, turning in their gear because they were told they couldn't work if they didn't get a shot. And I was so sad because a lot of those were there at 9/11, you know?
right, right. I
And,
didn't even see that video, but that sounds
well,
heartbreaking
they
to me.
blocked it shortly after that. It wasn't up long.
That figures.
Um,
I saw something that got blocked that was from Australia, and it was union construction workers literally banging on the doors of City Hall and their own union office because they said all is get this shot or you don't work again. And it was massive riots in the streets of Australia. I'm sure those got blocked. Probably can't find them, but I
I
saw
saw
them
that
as soon
too.
as they
And
aired. You
um,
did? Oh my God! I
Phil
felt terrible
Palmer.
for these people.
Yeah, Phil Palmer. He came out for heavy metal from New Zealand, and
Okay.
they streamed our. Well, they didn't stream it. They gave us a premiere for heavy metal in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And when COVID
Oh
hit,
wow.
I talked to him, and he said they couldn't leave the city or they would be shot.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was getting
And
so
they
bad everywhere. They could not
Australia.
go across their city line.
Wow.
And
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they surrendered their arms years ago. Did they not?
yeah, they did. It was so cool when Phil came out. We picked him up at the airport, and on the way
Mm.
back, you know that hour and a half drive, right?
Right.
He
Yeah.
stopped at the boot barn and got a pair of cowboy boots and a hat. And then when we got to Waldron, do you remember that uh, Guns and Pawn shop down there on Main Street?
No,
And
that I don't recall
yeah,
that.
he went in there, and it was right there on Main Street. Had that Indian statue out there and stuff. And
Uh-huh.
he went in and that wall of guns. and rifles.
Oh, wow.
He was a kid in a candy store. They let him go behind the counter, and he was picking up different ones and posing with them, and I was getting photos because he says we can't do that up there.
Wow.
They
I'll tell you
took
what
their
I bought
weapons.
at that. Remember the gas station by the hotel
Yes.
in the same parking lot?
Yeah.
Okay, so they had like a little gift shop. So I would go in there in the morning and get like an orange juice or something, whatever I wanted. And I have always, since I was a kid, collected knives and trinkets and things like that. They had a straight barber's razor, like the straight edge one, like, what do you call it? Think Johnny Depp and Sweeney Todd, like one of those. And it's silver. I just liked it as a collectible. It was only a few dollars. I bought that, and just, again, another collectible. They had these little, they weren't real brass, but, imitation brass knuckle with skulls on the end of it. And I still have those, of course. Those are my two souvenirs I brought back from Arkansas.
Oh, wow. I have a butterfly knife from way back in the 70s.
Wow.
And it sits on my counter. I should send that to you. Needs polished up a bit, of course, and everything, but if you like that, I should jet that out to you. But one thing about here in Klamath County, when they're trying to pass that gun law thing where they're going to take your guns. Well, I asked one of the sheriff deputies out here. I said, what would Klamath County Sheriff's Office do if they told you had to go and take people's guns? They said, no, we won't do it.
Right.
And remember that scare back during Obama's time when they were talking about that too, about taking your guns. Well, I was in Mississippi and I was filming that documentary, In God We Trust, and I had an interview with the mayor, and he made a lot of sense. He goes, no, they'll not come out here and make any of us, even if the government says so, we're not going to take anybody's guns. And number one, it's our constitutional right, but number two, the cops can't always get out to a lot of places because there's, it's a lot of rural areas and they couldn't get out there. People need to protect themselves.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense.
I may not be a gun owner myself. I like my little knives. I have like nunchucks and things like that. I have a mason chain. Those are my collectibles that hang on the wall. I've never been a gun guy, but the right to bear arms has always been there, and that we all got to protect yourself.
Well, they're getting away from what our forefathers envisioned for us. So there will be a war in the film, and what I think is really cool about having you in it is because you're either always a bad guy or you're standing up against the bad guys.
Yeah, true blue.
Yeah, and you have that look about yourself too that is amazing for this feature. And actually, all three features, unless you get killed, but I don't know yet.
Almost every single film and show I ever worked in, I got killed at the end. Almost every single one.
So maybe you'd kind of like to live in this one then and go to the next one.
Yeah, you didn't always see me die. Sometimes it was just implied, so there could be a prequel, a sequel, whatever. But then most of them, they were like, well, we got to kill you today.
And but isn't that kind of cool to do a death scene, right? I mean,
I'm not going to say what film this was in case nobody has seen it, but it was out in L.A., and it was the day of my death scene. And you know how it is. We all know how it's when it's on set. Usually you're on set with people you've never met before, and within a few days, they become your family because everybody's working so close together. As long as you get along with everybody, it's always a pleasure. I've never had to work with somebody that I just couldn't stand being around, luckily for me.
Yeah.
So I remember I got to set, and all the set people and all the girls from the set were all standing outside, kind of like with their heads down. And I said, "What's wrong?" And they were like, "Well, you have to die today." And they were upset. Gosh. I just started laughing. I'm like, all right, it's not real, but yeah, that we are going to do my death scene. And they were a little bit shooken up from it. I wasn't,
wow.
But they were. I said, I've been killed a million times. I'm like Steven Seagal, hard to kill. I always come back.
You know, there is a
I may not be
scene.
a martial artist, but I always come back.
There was a scene in Passageway to Hell that I think you missed. We shot it, and it was a nighttime shoot. And remember that tree in front of that big old courthouse?
That I do remember, yes.
And we had to hang some people there.
Yes, I do remember that because we were on the steps while that was going on with 2 cameras.
And you remember,
one camera on us and 1 camera on them.
Yeah, they had the gear and everything on, but somehow the rope wasn't right around the neck. Well, remember when they were hanging up there, and then all of a sudden, you know, we backed the truck up, and we hung them up, and then we moved the truck, and then all of a sudden they start turning red and they're kicking their legs.
Oh God, no. I don't think I saw that, but I do remember the setup for it and everything.
Yeah, so we had to
I would
quickly
have remembered that.
we had to quickly get the truck back in there and get them down.
Oh my God.
And then we looked at them, and I looked at Russell Hoffman and I said, "Take 2." And we went back up and did it again. But you know,
you might have said, "I got to take 5 first."
But there's always things that happen on set, and the people that you work with, and
Yeah.
they always want to work through and pull through, you know. And everybody does get pretty close, you know. And I had a lot of fun with you guys out there. I wanted to start this radio to give everybody a voice. Now, if you have 1 or 2 things that you want to say, that you would like to say about what do we need to get back to our forefathers?
Oh God, a total makeover. Think about it. I don't have solutions, but politics are based on greed. It seems like if someone starts out good, once they get bigger, they're corrupted very, very quickly. That's how it all seems to me.
Can you fathom or understand
what
what we're watching and how it seems like the renaming of the bases? You know, all of this stuff, rewriting history. Well, you can't rewrite history and still make it different.
That's fiction if you rewrite it.
Well, that's what they want to change everything. They want to go backwards, and that's not going to change history. You know.
No, I think it's horrible. What's history is history. A lot of atrocities have happened throughout the dawn of mankind. They happened. They're horrible. There's nothing you can do about it. Look back at medieval times and look at the Crusades. We know what happened. There's no changing it. It was horrible. Look at the Salem witch trials and all the people they burned in England that were not witches. They stole their land. It's so many different atrocities.
Well, clear back to the Indians also, you know, and the Native Americans.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this is their land that we all live in.
Yep, the Trail of Tears,
you know,
all of that.
Period to that. And also, never mind Columbus, the Vikings settled in North America, Canada, and everywhere else. I don't know how many hundreds of years before Columbus.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure other people landed here too before that we don't even know about. There's so much we don't know about history. We know about all the slaughters and all the backstab, and the Indians were completely backstabbed. It's such a horrible story, and here we are all living here, you know?
Yeah, and now everybody, I think through history, people have come together pretty good, and we've had to fight for our rights. We've got to, you know, fight for our freedoms and, you know, certain different things, and I think we've come through pretty good, and then now all of a sudden they want to tip it up and drop it out like a barrel of monkeys.
Yep. Well, it's like they just want to strip us of everything they possibly can. And how do you first break down society? Well, make it so they don't have money. Jack the prices up on everything. They're still using COVID as an excuse. A few months ago, eggs were going for $9 to $12 a dozen here in New York. Are you kidding me? They were always $2 or $3.99. They went back down.
Yeah.
Gas hasn't gone back down, though. They just keep jacking everything up, and that's trying to break the middle class. They break the middle class, they break everything.
Exactly.
They break unions, they break everything. They've broken unions in so many other states. They can't break us. They've hit us really, really hard, but they haven't broken us yet. And just remember this. Every actor, an actress might not support unions. They all belong to the Screen Actors Guild. That is a union that fights for us. And I have marched They have marched with us. They do every year in the Labor Day parade. The sewing union is there. The steam fitters are there. And the Screen Actors Guild are there. And every other union in New York is there for the Labor Day parade. Teachers unions, sewing union, everything you can think of.
Wow.
And we march together in solidarity every year the week after Labor Day.
Wow. That's
and
awesome.
I've done it for 28 years. There were a couple of years we didn't get the permits for it. The city wouldn't allow it. Of course, COVID, but even other times, different things were going on, maybe 9/11 or whatever, that we didn't have it. But other than that, we've been at the parade every year, every for Labor Day to support workers, the middle class.
Well, now, isn't New York basically ran on steam?
Yeah.
I mean, you see it coming up
Yes,
through the
you can say
streets, you know,
Absolutely.
and steam powered. And I saw a documentary where
Yes.
they went underground through all the steam places and showed how it worked, and I thought that was amazing. And that's
that's mostly Con Ed that does below the ground, and then we do above the ground.
what do you do?
All right. As steam fitters, um, we put in steam stations. We also do sprinkler pipes. There's two different. It's the same union, but would be two different contracts on a job. And then there's the copper works, the refrigeration. All of that is ours.
Wow.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Wow. Is that a hard job?
When I've yes, when I've worked in a steam station in the summertime, it would be 110 degrees in the room sometimes, and you're there all day.
That's got to be dangerous too, because steam is very hot. You know.
Yeah. Well, if there was a leak with high pressure steam, it would cut you in half like a laser.
Oh wow.
Yeah. No joke.
So did they
So
tell?
you
They
really
told
gotta
you
be
guys
careful.
you had to get a shot or you couldn't work?
Oh yeah. Well, where I went to work, I was never asked for it.
If you could say anything to people about the world today and things that could make them better, make them feel better, because a lot of
Oh,
people are in depression. There's a lot of shootings going on. There's a lot of craziness. There's a lot of this
yeah.
fentanyl and drugs. And if
Mhm.
people can tend to get depressed, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Keep the faith in yourself and hold your family tight. Stick close to the ones you love, because we can't change all this horrible stuff that's been going on. I don't have words about it. I have my own thoughts on the shootings and everything else going on. It is just horrible. But I'm going to say this, not to them. I read a book, God, I don't remember the author, over 10 years ago, called True Crime. It has nothing to do with the Eastwood movie. The book's called True Crime, and it was all different things that had happened throughout history. And when that book, the opening forward on that book was, if you thought Columbine was the first time, think again. And then it went back to school shootings in the 17th century. And I was just blown away. And also serial killers back then. Like, it was mind blowing. I couldn't believe. I'm like, oh, so when you said history repeats itself, I remember that book anytime somebody says that word, because it blew my mind, thinking these horrible things have always happened. There's a lot of people on a planet. Things just happen. Don't tell me it's not always controlled by good and evil. People do what they do. And sadly, there is a ton of mental illness out there. Very sadly.
Yeah. I think people need to not watch the news so much, number one, and
Hmm.
think about, like you said, their family and positives and getting together and trying to love one another and love the Lord and smell the roses a bit, you know?
Yeah.
Don't you think if you can be inundated with so much news and you don't see the beauty?
Yep.
So,
I stopped reading the paper and watching the news many years ago. I always thought, as a good American, you should always be up on current events and all that. And one day I got so depressed, and I'm talking probably 5 or 6 years ago, I just said, that's it. I'm done with the news. There's a lot of lies. I'm done with the newspaper. And I just stopped. And I read them religiously and watched religiously.
wow. And it's made a difference, hasn't it, really? I mean,
yeah. I mean, when I was watching the news again like that was when COVID hit, because I listened to what the governor of New York had to say every day. And it really looked like he was out to help us at first. And then after like 3 or 4 weeks, I realized this is all smoke and mirrors. It's all bull. It's all another lie. And I stopped.
well, you know, I saw something this morning, just during my morning coffee. They were doing the statistics on how murders have risen and crime has risen, and all of those statistics are in Democratic states.
Yeah.
And Republican states, and I don't like to go between Republican. You know, I'm independent, and I really think we should get away from the party system.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree with that more. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, but
I've never been a part of a party.
I think it divides people too much, and I think there's been too much division in the world. You know,
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more with that.
Somehow we got to bring people together, Mike.
Yes, I know. Little things work sometimes, just not forever.
Well, we're going to get you out there and get you in Falcon, and maybe through Falcon we can make it happen, if even on screen, right?
Well, we do send good messages, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Mario wants to teach people through the cinematic vision, but then I've also seen movies that probably shouldn't have been made because then it seemed like the world went with the way the movie went. Now they want to bring all these dinosaurs back, you know, and did they not watch the movie like you said, right?
Yeah, and where would you put them? You know,
Yeah,
go to an
that's a
island
good
somewhere,
one.
but something always happens, you know? And there's people on that island too, and if not destroying the world, they're going to destroy all of them, you know?
Well, you're going to look out your window one day or be sitting on your porch and there goes a pterodactyl, you know?
Yeah, like I would be so excited, but then you're in a lot of trouble right after that. You know?
Yeah.
Because I always, you know, like anybody else, I'm fascinated with dinosaurs. Anytime I see a blurb on the internet that they found a fossil, I can't wait to read it. Anything about outer space, but you know, it was also pretty scary at the same time.
Oh, yeah, there's aliens among us, they say, you know.
I believe that. I think after COVID, they don't want to come here anymore, though. There's been less sightings.
Oh gosh. Well, we can hope, right? You want to give some shout outs to anybody?
Well, I'd say who I mentioned before, Tom Churchill, Howard Nash, Russ Emanuel, Bill Hopkins, people I have worked with that are great to work with and that I'd love to work with again, and I will.
Yes, yes. And shout out to your union and to the people of the world to have hope, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we need change. We need massive change. Well, massive change.
I think that we stay positive. I think there will be change. But let's make some change in the Falcon. How's that?
I couldn't agree more.
Mike,
absolutely.
You're amazing, and I thank you so much for your time and for your interview. And shout out to the firemen, the EMTs, the nurses, the police.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them that are there for us, fighting their own fight and also fighting for us. And I love you very much. Love and blessings to your family. And
thank you. God bless you all, and I cannot wait to be on set with you and Mario.
That's going to be awesome. Great days coming.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.
Mike Marino, everybody. WFTP-The Falcon. I love that guy. Great actor, wonderful person, simply amazing to work with. We're going to end our show with a song that I think he would like called Rise Up by Jimmy Shandee. Thank you, everybody. Until the next time.
Oh, my Lord on high, we ask you to be with us every day of our lives. Oh, my Lord on high, we thank you for being there. Rise up, rise up. lands born, boys and girls, raise your hands up to the sky. Reach the Lord, we've got to fly. Angels soaring above our heads, all the memories, all we've had. The Lord up on high, raise up the children to the sky. Rise up to the heavens on high. Rise up to the spirits that fly. Rise up and the hands we made. Rise up to the Lord we made. Rise up to angels on high. Rise up and our love will fly. Rise up to the hands we made. Rise up, hold your love engaged. We ask you, Lord, to be in our lives with you, my Lord. We ask you, Lord, will you have my hand and take me there? We ask you, my Lord, be with me and count the days. We ask you, my Lord, in a very special way. Rise up to our hands on high. Rise up, look up to the sky. Rise up to the Lord.